What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host, Donovan Quick. And yesterday, we finished up the preseason game, and I posted a video about the 5 things that we learned from that game about the Miami Dolphins. And if you haven't yet, go check out that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. Today, we're going to be talking about the position battles that are going on and how that game really affected the way that we see these position battles. Now, we know that the Dolphins dropped the depth chart, and there are certain players that are in certain places, but yet when the game time came around, there were players playing ahead of other players, and you can't really go by that. And so the first position group I'm actually going to talk about is the wide receivers, just because I'm really excited to talk about this group as a whole. Now, look, I know once we got to like the third, fourth quarter, it wasn't as exciting to watch the receivers work. But I'm going to tell you what it is. We have 4 locks for wide receivers. Obviously, we know who they are: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and Malik Washington. Those are the 4 locks for the roster, for the 53-man roster. Now, I anticipate the Dolphins carrying in 6 receivers to the season. However, we know that they could go 5. We know that they can go 7. So I'm going to give you my personal opinion on who stacks up where. So we saw a lot of Taj Washington. Now, I've been praising that man since we drafted him. Unfortunately, last year he broke his foot in the rookie minicamp. So we never even got to see him in the Dolphins training camp as when the fans are allowed in. We didn't get to see him in preseason. Nothing. We didn't get to see that at all. And look, we got to see him in Dolphins uniform for the first time, running around on a football field, catching footballs in a live game, and that man is electric. He is always open, finds a way to get open. He has sure hands. He's quick, and dude is shifty. Dude's a little shifty. He made a couple dudes just fall flat on their ass. And he is a special player, in my opinion. And when I say special player, I'm not talking about Jamar Chase special, Justin Jefferson special, or even Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle special. I'm talking about he's that Jakeem Grant, that Albert Wilson, that Devon Bess special. Like, he is a guy that you're going to put in there, plug in there, and you know he's going to be a safe blanket for you. You know that when you throw the ball in his area, he's going to do his job. Same thing with Malik Washington, just a little skinnier and a little faster. So that being said, I really like it. I'm going to be calling them, we had the Marks brothers. This is the Washington brothers. And they're not going to be the Marks brothers. I don't think there's really going to be a receiving duo like them ever again. Although we came pretty close with Tyreek and Waddle a couple years ago. But that being said, they are really good as a pair. And I think Taj is going to be the 5th receiver on this roster. And I think Eric Ezukama, who also played in the first half, is going to be our 6th and final roster spot given to him. And I love it. I do. Like, you saw a lot of Taj Washington in the first half, and you saw he played the first, second quarter. He played with Tua. He played with Zach Wilson in that first half. He didn't really play in the second half, so he's up there. And I think he was like wide receiver 7, 7 or 8. When I was looking at the depth chart, and he's not that. He is wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6. He was playing with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. He was playing with Malik Washington, and Eric Ezukama came in there towards the end of the first quarter and in the second quarter. And I think that is what you kind of see. Like, Eric Ezukama is going to make this team. He's going to be that receiver, and he spent last year on the practice squad. I think we called him up like towards the end of the season, but that's what your players are going to be. You're going to have those guys as your top 6 receivers. I think Taj just has a slight edge over Eazy-E, and I love me some Eazy-E. Dude's a big receiver. He's explosive. You did get to see some D. Eskridge in there. I think that is going to be your 7th receiver. I think you can kind of toss him up with Eazy. He's probably slightly ahead of Eazy just because of the special teams aspect of it. So you don't have to put Achane back there, and you don't have to have Malik Washington back there 24/7 to have them get banged up, especially if they're going to be playing a bigger role in the actual offense. You don't want them on the special teams unit getting tired out and sore and hurt and banged up. So D. Eskridge, I think, has a slight edge on Eazy-E, but I do think that he's on that bubble between the 6-7. He might be the 7th guy. That's why I said they can range anywhere from 5 to 7 guys, and I think if we do take 7, D is going to be that guy. On to the next group. We're going to be talking about running backs. So, and we already have our running backs. Basically, all of the guys that we saw today that are going to be on the roster. All 4 of them are going to be on the roster. It's going to be Ollie Gordon, Achane, Jalen Wright, Alexander Mattison. It's just a matter of who's going to be behind Achane. This RB2 battle could quite literally be anybody. Right now, Jalen Wright obviously has the lead, being that he played the entire first half, didn't play the second half at all. Alexander Mattison seemed to be clearly the RB2 or RB3, I should say, playing a little bit in the second quarter and basically all of the third quarter, and then he got hurt. We're hoping he's fine. He was able to walk off, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. But Ollie Gordon played basically the entire fourth quarter, and he looked really good. I'm going to stand here and tell you, I think Ollie Gordon's going to be RB2 by the end of this preseason. So I explained in my 5 things we learned yesterday that Jalen Wright, I really like him as a running back, as a role player running back. But when we get into those short yardage situations, he is that bigger back, and he has the speed, he has the strength, but he doesn't have the lean. And what I mean by that is that when it's 3rd and 1 or goal to go on the 1, and he's patient and too patient, he's waiting for a hole to open up, and you can't do that in short yardage situations. He had a really nice run, quite literally like 2 or 3 plays before we got to the goal line, and he was patient. Hole closed up here, hole opened up here, he cut it back, busted 10-12 yards out, and dude was electric when he found the hole. However, he was too patient at the goal line, and you saw him, he kind of got up there and went into like a 3-point stance, trying to go behind the offensive line and be patient, waiting for that hole to open up. And that's not going to happen on the goal line. On the goal line, you need someone that's going to put their head down and keep their feet moving until you hear the whistle. And that is not Jalen Wright, at least not right now. I know they're going to go back and they're going to watch the tape and they're going to tell him, look, this is what you need to do in this situation versus this is what you did here. You did really good here, but you did the same thing here, and this is not a scenario in which you can do that. And hopefully he gets that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be something that we should, because he is one of our lighter running backs. Our 2 latest running backs are him and Achane. And I think on the other side of it, you have Alexander Mattison and Ollie Gordon that were brought in to be those bigger running backs that can get those extra yards, that can go and get you in on the 1-yard line and punch it in. And we did see that. The only 2 running backs that punched it in the end zone from the 1-yard line were Ollie Gordon and Alexander Mattison. They had the lean, they had the fight to get those extra couple yards. And look, Achane had that a little bit in the first half, but he didn't run it on the goal line. I do expect him to be in a lot of our goal line packages, still probably more so than the other 3, just because he gives us that versatility of being able to, split out wide in a motion and be one-on-one with a linebacker, and he can run a route as best as any receiver I've ever seen. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. Let's calm down a little bit. But that being said, we need that bigger running back to be able to punch it in. And I think Personally, Ollie Gordon's going to be RB2 by the end of this because he has that pass catching ability. He has the speed still. No, he's not as fast as Achane, not as fast as Jalen Wright, but he is really fast and he's really physical and he's a big running back. He has decent hands. Obviously, once again, not as good as Achane, not as good as Jalen Wright as far as pass catching ability. Probably not even as good as Alexander Madison, but he still has pretty decent hands for a running back, and he can go and just truck someone and fight and get those extra 2-3 yards. And he's built, dude's over 6 foot tall and over 220 pounds. He's going to run through you. I really like him a lot. If you told me that at the end of this year that he was going to have the most rushing touchdowns on this team, I wouldn't blink. If someone came from the future and told me Ollie Gordon led this team in rushing touchdowns, I would not be surprised at all, not in the very least. I'm not saying I expect it to happen. I still think it's going to be Achane, but Ollie Gordon is still going to have at least 4 to 5 touchdowns this year rushing, just from getting from the 1 yard line. It's as simple as that. And then after that, let's see, we have the wide receivers, running backs. Oh, defensive tackle. Sorry. Defensive tackle. We have a battle there for who's going to be next to Zach Sealer. Right now, Benito Jones seems to have the edge there. He's doing pretty good as far as camp goes, and he was decent in the game. He's just there. He's a guy. He's a good rotational guy to have in there. And defensive tackles are going to be rotated probably the most out of anybody in on this defense. And having him, having Sealer, having Kenneth Grant. I said in my video yesterday that we have to be patient with Kenneth Grant, that he is a big guy. He is really, like, he wants to learn. He literally was sitting there at the end of the game taking notes down, like paying attention, locked into the game still. He wasn't just, oh, hey, nice game, like on this. No, he was locked in, taking notes, locked in. We love that for him. I'm not really sure if I liked what I saw from him this game, especially against backups, being a top 15 pick in the draft. But I'm going to reserve my judgment. Like I said, I'm going to be patient with him. I'm going to be patient with Jordan Phillips, who actually looked pretty decent against the third and fourth stringers. But once again, he also is a third and fourth stringer. So we're going to see how he develops. I really liked him as a developmental guy. I actually really wanted the Dolphins to draft him, especially at his value in the 5th, 6th round. And then behind him, you have Zeke Biggers and Butler, who they play pretty decent. Obviously, 7th round guy. You're not going to... Actually, I think Zeke was he 7th round or was he undrafted? I think he was 7th round. You're not going to get a whole bunch of production out of those guys, but the fact that you were able to kind of notice them here and there, that was good. But obviously, I think we're going to roll with 4 defensive tackles, and Zeke Biggers is probably going to be on the practice squad, but I think it's going to be Benito Jones, obviously Zach Sealer, obviously Kenneth Grant, and I think the last one's going to be Jordan Phillips. I think those are going to be our 4 defensive tackles that we're going to be rolling with into the regular season. I think Benito Jones is going to keep that spot on the starting line with Zach Sealer for the majority of the season, up until Kenneth Grant really starts to develop and translate what he's learning in the film room to the football field. So that's what I got to say for the defensive tackle battle. The other battle really out there is safety battle. And there's not much I can really say about this because it's really just between Elijah Campbell and Patrick McMorris. Patrick McMorris was doing pretty well out there. Obviously, when Ashton Davis is healthy, he's going to be starting out opposite of Minkah Fitzpatrick. But Patrick Morris, he did make some plays. He had an interception off a tip from Ethan Bonner. We're going to be talking about corners here in a sec. Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting battle there between McMorris and Elijah Campbell. Elijah Campbell did get banged up. I think Elijah has the slight edge because of his special teams ability. Also, when Elijah Campbell's on the football field, I feel like he always just finds a way to make a play. Like he's never a guy that you seem to fall behind for, but he always seems to kind of be a guy that is always there, whether it's on the final tackle or he's making some kind of play. And like I said, his special teams ability gives him a slight edge, in my opinion, of not only making the roster, but being having that playing time ability, because he has that tackling ability. Like I said, Patrick Morris did get that interception off the tip, so that was good that he was able to be there. Now to the one that everybody has been waiting for, the corners. The corner battle is just a mess. Just a mess, bro. I don't even really want to talk about it, but I'm going to because I have to. It's so bad. It's so bad. Storm Duck was getting cooked by Luther Burden. Cooked. And then Luther Burden moves into the inside and cooked Mike Hilton. Those are two of our starting corners. Jack Jones, obviously, I think he's going to be a starter at one point. I think he's going to take over for Kendall Sheffield. You didn't really hear his name called. I'm not even sure if he played. I think he did, Kendall Sheffield, but I want to say he played, but I didn't really hear his name at all, which is kind of a good thing when you're on when you're a corner on defense. Like, you don't want to hear your name called unless it's an interception or a sack, because that just means that you just got cooked, which Storm Duck got cooked a lot. And I like Storm Duck, but once again, he's a rotational player. He's decent. He's not a starter in the league, at least not right now. Jason Marshall Jr. looked really good, I will say. BJ Adams, here and there, he looked decent. Cam Smith is currently hurt, so he didn't play. Once again, he's hurt again. The dude's made of glass. And I love Cam Smith. I want him to succeed so badly, but dude's just always hurt. Isaiah Johnson had a really nice PBU on an underthrown ball, but he's any single one of these guys could really start at any point for the Dolphins this season. I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say it's gonna be Jack Jones, Storm Duck, and Mike Hilton as our starting three corners, just because we really don't have anybody else in the slot besides Hilton. Unless Cam Smith comes back and actually plays well, but right now he's listed. This isn't good considering he's going into year 3 and he was a higher second round pick. The fact that he's listed as like CB6, like I think it's CB5 or CB6. Like, he's third string corner right now on the depth chart, and usually you have a guy that's been on the team for 2 years be a lot higher on the depth chart. So, look, I would really like for him to succeed and be there, and if he can stay healthy and get back to form and actually, he needs the playing time to actually get good and accommodate, but he's never healthy enough to be on the football field. So he needs the reps, but he's not healthy enough to get the reps to be that good. If he can get the reps, stay healthy, Cam Smith, Jack Jones, Mike Hilton, that's not a terrible starting group. It's not great, it's not good, but it's not terrible. And of course, I actually like our safeties. I like all 4 of our safeties, really. Obviously, Minka, is he as good as he once was? No, but he is really good, and he's kind of like the captain of that defense, and he's really going to shape up how the secondary looks, and he's going to bail out some of our corners sometimes. Linebackers look really good between Jordan Brooks, Tyrell Dodson. I know they got into a little fight, but Minka Fitzpatrick basically clarified that, look, it was our players were getting hit extracurricular activity, stuff that you're not supposed to do in a joint practice. And Jordan Brooks basically told Tyrell Dodson that you have to finish that hit, you have to smoke them. And that's where that little argument ensued. Really not that big of a deal. I actually love it from Jordan Brooks. I love that leadership and that drive. Willie Gay continues to make a lot of plays. So I really like those three. And then there's a spot for that fourth linebacker between Channing, Tyndall, McClendon looks really good. Like that defensive front really just, I'm really happy with our front seven right now. It's just our secondary is so trash. We're gonna need the defensive line to really eat a lot of pressure this season, because if not, it's gonna be a long season. And I do expect a lot of fireworks in certain games, like the Buccaneers and Bengals games. Like those are gonna be just straight fireworks from start to finish. Whether we win or we lose, that's going to be some fireworks. So it's gonna be a fun game to watch. Yeah, that's what I got for y'all today. Let me know about any other position battles or players that you want me to talk about in the comments below. Deuces.